Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. So today I'm gonna be using Beauty Forever hair, their Indian body wave hair, and I'm gonna be showing you guys how to make a custom frontal wig using a sewing machine. This is something that do I make wigs. Yeah, so first I'm going to start off with the Got To Be Glue spray, and I'm going to lay down the baby hairs, any flyaways, so that the bleach does not get on it. And in that area I'm going to be using the bleach the knots. So first I'm going to be using a mixer, a fork. This is the best product to apply your bleach with, and a bowl. And I'm also be using the L'Oreal Quick Blue bleach and a 40 volume developer. Now if you're not a professional, do not use 40 volume. I use 40 volume because I know what I'm doing. If you don't know what you're doing, don't use this. Use a lower volume. And those two things were the shampoos that I'll be using after to shampoo the frontal. So first I'm gonna measure out my bleach. You have to gauge it to know how much you want to put. Use your judgment, and you want to be like toothpaste kind of. You don't want it to be watery because then it's gonna seep through the frontal and bleach your knots, and then you're gonna have something called hot roots. You don't want hot roots. You look crazy. So I just started, once it's mixed out to your consistency you want. It took a while, but it'll get there, and then you want to just apply it using your knife all over the lace. You want to spread it without pressing in, just spread it over, like just spread it right on top. You don't want to press it in or anything because then it's going to seep through. So once everything is covered, you want to make sure you cover every knot. You're going to let it sit for about 45 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on how your lace how long it takes and what kind of bleach you use, how long it takes to set and everything. So for me, I just go through each row, like parting it in sections and just looking at the knots and seeing how they're bleaching, whatever. Usually I don't put a timer, I just keep watching and gauging it. Okay, so now I'm just going to rinse off all the bleach. You want to make sure that you get everything off. And now I'm using the neutralizing shampoo. This is a neutralizing shampoo that's going to indicate whether the bleach is still on there or not. So I did 2 washes with this, and I just want to make sure that everything is off and rinsed out. You don't want no bleach left on there, girl. Then I'm going to go in with the Shimmer Light Purple Shampoo. This is going to tone the roots so that you don't see that orange brassiness on the roots, and also to give it more of a natural look. So I put that on there and left it for like about 2 to 3 minutes, just so that it could tone it and give it its nice tone, because since it's purple shampoo, it's going to tone the roots. After the 2 minutes over, then I rinse it out. Make sure I rinse everything out. Everything gets off of their shampoo. Everything is all out. And I use like medium to warm water. Like, it doesn't really matter, but I prefer that type of water temperature. And I'm just like looking at it, showing you guys how it looks on my skin tone to show you that you can basically see right through it because this lace is transparent. So it looks like once you put it on your scalp, it will look like your scalp. You have them looking at you like, what lace? See how natural it looks? So now I'm just going to be applying the Aussie Moist 3-minute Miracle Conditioner. And I'm just going to apply that all over and just comb it through. I love using this conditioner after my bleaching process because it gives the hair a nice feeling, and it just makes the hair feel nice and shiny and amazing. So then I left it on for like about not even 5 minutes, and I rinsed it out. Rinse off all the conditioner, make sure everything's off the lace everywhere, because you don't want it to dry and be like oily or like anything. So you want to make sure you get everything rinsed out. I first started off with warm water, then I ended off with like cool water, rinsing out, and that's how your lace should look once it's bleached. So now we're going to go into the plucking. I've done that side already, and I'm going to show you how to do the other side. So you want it to look like as natural as possible. So you want it to look like a realistic hairline. Most people hairline is not that full and thick, so you want to pluck it. So I'm going to be using a tail comb, metal tip comb, tweezers, water bottle, some mousse, Nairobi mousse. I just put it in that bottle, and a styling edge brush. So you want to wet down the frontal, make sure that it's completely wet if it's dry, because you don't want to work with dry hair because it's a little bit more harder because you can't really see what you're plucking. So you want to go in with your tweezers and gently tweeze and pluck out any unwanted hair. So basically just gauge it off of how you know a natural hairline should look. You want it to look natural. So I'm starting off, it's slow. You want to take your time. You don't want to rush through this because you will have holes in your lace and you will be looking bald. You don't want to look bald out here in these streets, okay? So you want to take your time. I just sped up the video because, you know, for video purposes you don't want to drag out the video, but take your time. This is sped up, so just look what I'm doing and take your time and do it. It doesn't matter, take your time. Then I'm going to go throughout and take out the baby hairs, the front hairs. You don't want the whole wig to be thin, so you want to take out the parts that are already thin and stay away from thinning out those parts even more. So I sectioned out that and I went and tweezed the hairs behind that section. So I'm just going to keep parting little by little rows and going through and plucking out hairs that I don't want, or just to thin it out or make it look more faded, kind of. It looks like a faded look. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be doing that throughout the parts. The only part that you don't want to pluck too much is the middle part of the head, the top middle, wherever you're going to part the hair, whether it be on the two sides or in the middle, because you don't want those parts to be thin and you're like, it's thin there because that's the part where the part's going to be. You don't want that part to be thin. And I did switch my tweezers and going with a different tweezer to, you know, better gauge, had a better slant. And then I'm just going to comb everything back and go throughout and just take a look at what it looks like and see if it's to my desire or the way that I want to look. And that's a plucked lace. I didn't pluck it too much, like go in depth, because this is for a client and she doesn't really like that whole thin look in the front, and she doesn't really like the whole baby hair look, so I want to look as natural as possible. Then I'm going to take the mousse and my edge brush and just brush all the hair back, make sure that everything is, you know, molded down and firmly like placed. And I just like style the frontal, just laying down the hairs, basically not really styling it. I don't style it, and that's how your lace should look once it's customized. That's a full customized lace frontal, bleach, plucked, and everything. Then later on, once the wig is done, I'm gonna go in and tint the lace, and tinting lace is just to make it match your skin tone. So now I'm showing you the wefts doubling your tracks, and you want to double your tracks so that all your hair can fit onto the wig cap. I can do a video showing you guys how to double your tracks if you'd like to see that, and you want to reinforce the end so that everything is tightly fit in and it won't unravel when you cut it. Now I'm just going to show you how to place your frontal and sew it down. Some people do the frontal after the tracks, but I prefer to do it before, and I just want to, it's much easier for me that way. And like after you're done sewing on your tracks, you don't have to worry about putting on the frontal. That's just better for me. So once everything is pinned down, you want to make sure that the back is flatly pinned down. Don't worry about the front if it's lumpy and like it's bunching up. You want to make sure the back is flat as possible. And I also braid down my hair so that it's out of my way when I'm sewing. And I'm going to be using 2 needles to sew down the frontal on each side. And now this is what I was referring to as a lumping in the front. You want to make sure that the front of your lace is like in the shape of an M, so that would show you proof that you put your frontal down right. Now I'm going to take 2 needles and sew down each side. So doing the left side first, then going back with another needle and sewing down the right side. This will ensure that your frontal is flat and it's sewn down properly. Okay, once your frontal is sewn down, you want to go and draw your guidelines. This is the pen that I use to draw my guidelines. I will leave a link below where you can get them, and they're perfect for drawing your guidelines on like surfaces like these. And I'm going to also use a tape measure. Sometimes I do this to help line off where I want the lines to be, but basically a guideline is basically where your tracks will go. So it's a guide to where your tracks will be placed. It also depends on how many bundles you have. to how many lines you're gonna have, because you want all the hair to fit, so you will have to gauge it to yourself to see how many lines you're gonna need. But this is the diagram that I use. So now we're gonna go into using the sewing machine to put our tracks on. If you want to know how to use a sewing machine, I can make a video about that, but I was taught from someone else. A good friend of mine taught me how to use a sewing machine, so that's how I know how to use one. It can be tricky depending on what sewing machine you have. So first you want to just make sure that the hair and the cap and the weft are flat surface, and you want to make sure that there's no bumps or lumps in it, because then you will have a bumpy lumpy wig and you don't want that. So first at the beginning you want to start off by back stitching. This is just to reinforce the beginning of the stitch and make sure that it doesn't unravel out. So you want to go back like about 2 or 3 times, and then you want to go ahead and keep going straight. Make sure that the weft is flat along the cap, and you just want to keep going in the same direction of your lines. And also remember, at the end and the beginning you must back stitch so that the tracks will stay, firmly on. And after you're done, you want to cut off the extra hair so that you can use it to continue going on the other lines. I don't fold over my tracks because it just makes it more bumpy lumpy. You just want it to be flat, so I prefer to cut the tracks. I mean, the hair's gonna shed anyway, but it's your preference. But I prefer, and it's much easier to just cut the tracks. So now I'm up to the top. I'm almost finished, but once you get more closer to the top, like towards the frontal area, it's gonna get more difficult because the cap strings a little bit. So you want to make sure that you keep everything flat, and once you see that you reach the top of the head, you want to like gauge and see whether you should still continue going with doubling the tracks. But usually when I reach towards the frontal, like the last track, I just do it single because you don't want it to be lumpy or like a bumpy there. So I just close it off with the last track. So I just unravel out the doubling and just apply one row, like one single track, to close off everything. And you also do want to go in and sew down your frontal as well. Even though you hand stitch it, just to reinforce it, I go over at the end with the sewing machine to make sure that the frontal is completely on. It won't be like unraveling out or coming off, because you want your wig to be secure like a good wig. So I also go in and sew down the frontal as well. And then once I'm done making the wig, I do go in and put the elastic bands that I get from a vendor and combs. This is because she likes the glueless look. Many people like to wear their wigs this way, so that's what I got. And that's adjustable elastic band, so you can adjust it to whatever size you want, and it's also removable. You can detach both sides. But this is the stitching. You can see how neat and steady everything is. Everything is nice and neat. I also put combs on the lace front so that she's able to clip it. Many people don't like combs, but it's their preference. So this is the final results. Look at the hair in the front. She doesn't like baby hairs really, so that's why it looks more like on the natural side. You don't really see baby hairs because she doesn't really like the look of baby hairs, so I just did a natural look. And this is how it looks. This is the lace. I did go in and pluck the part a little bit, just a little bit, to her liking. But yeah, so that's the final results. If you want to see me style this wig, stay tuned for my next video, and I'll show you how to get some nice voluminous curls and make it look beautiful, and some juicy beautiful curls. And yeah, so stay tuned for that video. And I do make custom wigs for clients, so this is a client's wig. This is not for me, so I would not be able to like really try it on, but I will show you the final results. If you want to see that, stay tuned for my styling video. Bye.